Hey there, aspiring achievers. I often hear from many accomplished adults that they feel like imposters. They've been able to hold things together and advance in their career, yet the toll on them is huge. They've created workarounds to get the job done, but fear being found out. Work takes so much time and leaves little, if any, time for pursuing their dreams, hobbies, or even cherished time with family and friends. Over time, their self-confidence and happiness has disappeared. Enter imposter syndrome. In order to feel confident, you need to be competent in those areas of life you created workarounds for. In other words, competence leads to confidence. Many adults ramble when they speak. I used to. I didn't have a target. I just started talking and hoped I would make sense to those listening if I just said enough. To ramble on is to speak or to write at length and with many digressions, such as rambling on for a couple of hours and your listeners become restless. Rambling uses up lots of time, effort, and energy, whether talking or writing. Rambling on is an expression of disorganization or confusion in thinking. Does it take you a while to get to the point in a conversation or presentation? Do you feel the need to provide all the details you can possibly think of when you're explaining something to someone? Have you ever thought your rambling or excessive explaining was a sign of executive function skill deficits? Rambling is indicative of disorganized thinking, and this can be remedied by developing one's executive function skill for organization of thought, not things. That's a different executive function skill. Have you ever had a conversation with someone that didn't end up anywhere near the original destination? Or maybe you reached the original destination, just not directly. Some people are natural ramblers. One thought leads to another, which spurs a memory, connects to a related story, all possibly off topic from where the conversation was originally headed. Then there's thought distraction, where an outside comment or something passing in the visual field, or even a sudden pop-up of a to-do, can lead the conversation down an entirely different path. While rambling conversations do not require a person to have ADHD, they are certainly more common in adults with ADHD, or more specifically, adults with underdeveloped executive function skills. Another symptom of an executive function skill deficit is when a thought enters your head, pops right out of your mouth with no filter mechanism. This could indicate an inhibiting skill deficit. These rambling journeys, they don't happen in every conversation, especially if the topic is well understood. However, when uncertainty occurs, lots of additional content gets included in an attempt to ensure successful communication. The outcome is just the opposite and leaves listeners frustrated or confused.
Welcome to the Living Beyond ADHD podcast. If you're looking for a fresh perspective and actionable steps on hot topics from focus to follow-through to self-management and more, you are in the right place. Welcome your host, innovative educator, coach, and psychotherapist, Dr. B.
If you're excessively explaining yourself, there can be many reasons for that. Wanting to make sure that you're heard and or understood, self-esteem issues by wanting to be thought of highly or competent. Another reason could be your need to please others, no matter the cost to you. This is codependency, which is having an unhealthy relationship with yourself and putting what you believe the needs of others are before your own. The development of many of the executive function skills will help minimize these challenges. And if codependency is present and resolved, it'll put an end to these challenges as well. Other reasons that you might ramble on: feeling impassioned about a topic and having a propensity to go off on tangents. Feeling insecure about something when asked to talk about it, something that you don't fully understand. Or hyperverbal speech may show up as a symptom of ADHD or even anxiety. And when anxious, you may talk more than usual or speak very quickly. Rambling on or excessive explaining yourself isn't diagnostic criteria for ADHD. However, these symptoms are often present in adults with ADHD and many underdeveloped executive function skills. Adults with ADHD and deficits in their organization of thinking skills have a hard time with conversation. They might get distracted and lose track of what the other person is saying or even what they were saying. They might ramble and monopolize the conversation because they can't get to the point. Their mind is grabbing a lot of different thoughts rather than just the thoughts or ideas that support or relate to the topic that's being talked about. And they may be unable to focus for the length of time they need in a meeting or while presenting in a meeting. In order to stop rambling and get to the point, you want to develop any of your executive function skill deficits, especially organization of thinking, planning, prioritizing, and such. In the meantime, here's some things that you might be able to do to lessen your ramblings and get your message across. Measure how much you're talking, perhaps use a timer, and whether or not you could talk less and say more. Take time to reflect after conversations on what your intended outcomes were, what took place, and how you might improve this next time. Consider using other ways to share your ideas, such as written notes. Build in pauses to allow you to be intentional in your talking. Ask for help when possible with sizing down what you're saying and how to stay more on track. Remember, your mind is trainable, and you don't have to stay stuck with whatever your mind currently does. You can eliminate executive function deficits with proper training. And for now, here's some additional strategies that may help you to improve communication and reduce rambling. Practice listening. If you're easily distracted by external stimuli or even internal thoughts, you want to minimize these distractions. Having a listening strategy can be helpful, such as active listening. This is where you repeat back to the person speaking what you heard them saying, and most important, ask if you got it right, or if there's more, or if you missed something. This is great for building rapport with people, as well as building your listening skills. Avoid rambling. If you often get lost in your own thoughts, you want to keep yourself externally focused rather than internally focused. Having a pausing strategy can be helpful, such as stopping yourself from speaking for too long. You could set an alarm and time yourself, or watch the other person's facial expressions and stay aware of whether or not they had a chance to speak yet or not. You could also ask them if they wanted to say something and actually wait for their reply rather than just keep talking. Focus on the other person. Be curious about what they have to say, rather than only focusing on what you have to say. Having a strategy to remain curious is helpful, such as asking the other person what they think of what you're saying. Or is what you're saying clear to them? And actually wait for their response and be curious and interested in what they have to say, rather than just giving them a chance to say a few words and then jumping back in to monopolize the conversation. Reciprocity, give and take strategy. Be sure that you're focusing on caring for the other person and their needs rather than just your own. Go for balance. And call a timeout. Pace yourself. Many adults feel pressured to speak when they have the opportunity to do so. Don't let that happen to you. You know, it's interesting to me when I did an online search to see what others said about how to actually develop organized thinking. I found articles offering tips on ways to organize complex thoughts, such as with brain dumps, mind maps, sticky notes, and such. If I didn't already have well-developed organized thinking, these tips or strategies wouldn't teach me how to develop better organized thinking. These articles are only telling me how to externally organize thoughts with various methods, but if I can't recognize how to prioritize or organize those thoughts, then the tips or strategies are of no use to me. What's needed is information about how to actually develop organized thinking itself. That's why I teach executive function skill development rather than just tips or strategies. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime." My mission is to feed everyone for a lifetime, so we create a society of empowered thinkers rather than people always dependent on others to tell them what to think or do or feel. I know it takes time, and yet the time spent is well worth the investment because the return is for a lifetime. To develop your organization of thinking and have an organized mind, you're habitually able to find and access the information that you have within you, as well as express it in various ways depending on what the situations require. You can learn to think analytically, philosophically, mathematically, scientifically, critically, to name just a few. Along with other well-developed executive function skills, you can prioritize your thoughts and actions, integrate what you're learning from others as well as yourself, and can pick out the key points to express in conversations, knowing that you have access to more information if your listeners need more. Because you're competent in these skills, you feel confident to participate in life and enjoy living a full and meaningful life. If you've never had your executive function skills assessed, I highly recommend my free PDF, 13 Signs Weak Executive Functioning is Holding You Back. This is a good starting point to gain some insights into your level of development or your deficit so you can understand what's been holding you back. I use a more comprehensive executive function skill assessment for my students in my GSD FE program because I want to know more in-depth information with the students I work with directly. However, the PDF that I created is definitely a good starting place for you. You can grab your copy from my website. Link is in the show notes. If you've been listening to my podcast for any length of time, you know that I differentiate us as human beings and human doings. Society looks at us through the lens of human doings, and many of us have been indoctrinated to view ourselves as human doings as well. We value ourselves based on what we can do, and when we can't do many things due to executive function deficits, we don't feel very good about ourselves, and worse yet, may give up hope of life getting any better. Please don't give up hope. Rather, borrow mine until you've gained your own hope again. It's real hope, not that cheerleader hope. You are a precious child of the universe and are called a human being, not a human doing, for good reason. As a human being, you don't have to earn your value because you were born with it. Your value comes from who you're being, not what you're doing, which means if you focus on being the highest expression of what resides within you, you can wake up every single day with your value 100%. You may still be developing your doing abilities, yet as a being, you are enough. And that's a great win to celebrate every day of your life. And if you don't believe me, then please consider coming to work with me in some capacity so I can guide you and celebrate with you all that's amazing about you, the human being. That is, if it's your time. Speaking of wins, what's it going to be for you today? Focusing on the wins of being today. You make it a point to smile at everyone you see as you take your morning walk, and perhaps even say hello or good morning to each of them. It's possible you made their day by simply acknowledging their existence instead of looking away. That's such a kind gesture and an amazing win for you both. You have started making time for yourself, the human being, every day, even if it's just 15 minutes a day to start with. You're honoring that being that lives within you, and it's a priceless gift that you're giving to yourself every day just because you can. That's fantastic. You decided to apologize to yourself and make living amends to yourself for the harms that you've caused yourself as a gesture of love and gratitude for who you're being and have been all along. Absolutely amazing. Each one of these wins deserves your wholehearted celebrating. Yes, wow, thank you. You are honoring yourself every day, and not many people do so. We all have daily wins if we pay attention and look for them. And I'm hopeful that you're celebrating them all, big and small. You deserve no less. How much time do we have? Not much. So let's get to it.
This podcast is sponsored by Pure Potential with Dr. B. You can head over to drbarbaracohen.com and find the podcast episodes and transcripts. Great free content, plus information on programs and products, including the groundbreaking online Adventures in Achievement Foundational Skills Training and Coaching Program. You can also learn about Dr. B's masterclasses on decision-making, time management, and banishing procrastination. That's drbarbaracohen.com.
I have lived a life of service for most of my 72 years, and it fulfills me. Helping hundreds of adults change themselves from the inside out so they can transform their limiting beliefs and outdated identities to empowering ones, eliminating challenges with regard to how people manage themselves in time and time itself, so it becomes a healthy partnership, understanding the causes for procrastination and banishing those causes so things get done, and lighting the way to making decisions more easily that are known to be good decisions before ever acted on absolutely excites me. And that's only the fundamentals. Because I believe in teaching you to fish so that you can feed yourself for a lifetime, I have further helped hundreds of adults to integrate the life skills for success so they can live the sustainable, successful life that they want and deserve. This is only possible through the elimination of their executive function deficits, which means that they learn to develop those executive function skills rather than just being fed some tips or hacks or strategies as workarounds. I view those workarounds as Band-Aids that fall off in time, or we stop using them because we have to consciously remember to use them. Instead, my students learn how to change themselves from the inside out and integrate all that they're developing, so they come to know that they can take care of themselves no matter what situation they're in. They have become the person who can do so. If you resonate with my approach and want what others before you have received, I'm excited for you and would welcome the opportunity to speak with you about your current situation and what you're seeking, so we can determine together if what has worked for so many other adults would work for you as well. See the show notes for how to book that discovery call with me. Here's a summary of what I've created with you in mind, knowing that at least one of the following will fit your life circumstances and budget. GSDF, which is the fundamentals. It's our newest offering. Access is available from May 1st to August 31st, 2023. As its name implies, it's focused on the fundamentals, those executive function pre-skills that set you up for greater success. Upgrading your outdated identity is important so you are being the person who can do and have what you're seeking. Without this work, you cannot outperform your outdated identity. You're limited by who you continue to think and believe you are. Releasing your limiting beliefs is also important for you to be able to achieve what you're seeking. Without this work, you cannot outperform your limiting beliefs, and you will continue to be held back by them. Time is our most precious currency and asset. If you also believe that to be true, you probably understand that time doesn't stand still for any of us, and once it's spent, it's gone for good. There's no reclaiming past time that we've spent poorly. And even though we get more time every day until we don't, the cost of not knowing how to manage yourself in relationship with time and time itself is one of the most expensive losses or debts we each incur in our lifetime. You just can't afford to leave this skill poorly developed unless your dreams and goals don't matter to you or those closest to you. Procrastination steals your most precious currency and asset, which is time. The more you procrastinate, the more time you lose. There are reasons that adults procrastinate at the beginning, middle, end, or all areas, as well as saboteurs that attempt to steal your time if you don't know how to deal with them and banish them. This is also a skill that you can't afford to leave poorly developed unless you don't care about the time that you're bleeding out every time you procrastinate. Decision-making is a critically important skill that most aren't taught, and yet it's part of our day-to-day life at work and at home. If your process for making decisions is anything like the poor process that I was taught as a kid, then I feel for you. It leaves way too much to chance, and you never know if you've made a good decision, the right decision, until you act on that decision and experience the outcome. Do you really want to continue to wait and see how things turn out with the decisions you make? Or would you rather develop a methodology that guides you to make good decisions and know that they're the right decisions given all the information you've provided? You eliminate self-doubt and fear that you've made a bad decision. Instead, you can be confident that your decision is right before you act on it. There's more to what GSD Fundamentals offers you, and you can learn more by clicking the link in the show notes. Next, GSD FE, which is the Fundamentals and Essentials program. This program combines the best of fundamentals with the entire GSD program, which, as I said, is fundamentals and essentials. If you decide to work in the fundamentals program prior to the full GSD program, then the fundamentals will be a review for you to further solidify your transformation. If you decide to enroll in the GSD full program, you can gain as much as 4 additional months of transformational work and coaching calls, depending on when you enroll, before the GSD program begins in September 2023. All of this extra time working with me is essentially free, since the price of the program remains the same whether you take advantage of this additional time or wait to enroll at the last minute and miss out on all of this extra training, coaching, and healing work. Only in the full GSD FE program do you develop all 13 essential executive function skills rather than develop workarounds. You develop them so they become an integrated part of you rather than an appendage that can fall away. Only in the full GSD FE program, within 24 to 48 hours of your enrollment, do you complete a comprehensive executive function skill assessment for informational purposes only that helps us see and understand your degree of deficit rather than just knowing it's a deficit. There is a big difference between being 90% underdeveloped with your planning skills versus 65% underdeveloped. Both people know that they lack well-developed executive function skill of planning, and having more specific details helps my students to more fully understand their starting point and have compassion for themselves as they begin their transformation. Only in the GSD FE full program, within 24 to 48 hours of your enrollment, do you submit a maximum of 2 pages typed information about your challenges and goals for yourself in the program. Anything that you feel would be beneficial for me to know about you, so long as it's a maximum of 2 pages typed. It's important for me to get to know my GSD FE students more fully and deeply before working with them, so I can serve their long-term needs most effectively. Only in the full GSD FE program do I review your executive function assessment results in light of your 2 pages of background information, and then record a personalized video debriefing your results and send you a link to a private viewing page with the video and your executive function scores there for you to review. According to my students, this information is invaluable. At the end of the program, you will complete the same comprehensive executive function skill assessment to see concretely the progress you've made in the development of your skills. The reassessment results are typically different than the original results significantly if the student has fully engaged with the program as it's designed to do so. As far as we know, we are the only program offering such a comprehensive entry into a transformational program. The full GSD program is a high-touch, comprehensive program for the leveling up and development of your executive function pre-skills and executive function core skills that will change your life. It's 7 months of working with me, one-to-one in a group format, that will bring you more than I ever could outside of this structure. Being together in this group energy and unpacking everything that I recommend that you examine and possibly develop to have the life you say you want is powerful, powerful transformation. What got us here won't get us further. To move beyond today's achievements, we need to be different so we can do different and have different than we currently have. If you have questions about the GSD program, click the link in the show notes to book your complimentary discovery call with me. Doors open May 1st for GSD fundamentals, and the sooner you talk to me so we can determine together if the GSD program is a good fit for you or not, the more additional time you get to transform your life in the fundamentals program. We have students from all over the world enrolling in the program, so location is not an obstacle. GSD is the fastest and most comprehensive path to develop yourself and your skills while eliminating the obstacles that used to stop you or keep you from completing something this important to you. Next, the Transformation Club. If both GSD fundamentals and the full GSD program sound like more than you can handle at this time, we still have a solution for you, and that's the Transformation Club, a yearly membership program focused on the development of executive function skills related to mind, emotions, and behaviors. If you only have about 2 to 3 hours a month available for your skill development, then this is definitely for you. A live monthly training with replay available in the membership site within 24 hours. A live monthly Q&A on the training topic with replay available in the membership site within 24 hours. A monthly private podcast produced by me to answer any questions submitted from TTC members only in podcast format. And a private peer-to-peer community forum for TTC members only to post their takeaways, insights, wins, accountability, and gain support from like-minded TTC members. If you're in our Facebook group, Living Beyond ADHD, you may have noticed that there is no longer any new activity there. Everything is happening outside of that group. TTC is the closest to what a Facebook training group can be. However, our group was never intended to be a training group. That's why TTC was created, so you have privacy, community, and quality training and support. Over the years, I've assessed the degree of executive function skill development in hundreds of adults. For those students of mine who start their journey in the 90% plus underdeveloped category, I know how difficult their life has been. Some have had to go on disability or quit their jobs or even retire. They've continued to struggle, have relationship problems, and this is the horrible, painful life journey without well-developed executive function skills. This is no joke, and yet I feel that the world at large makes jokes about ADHD symptoms and many other things that people are struggling with. It's just downright disrespectful and painful. Being the curious person I am, I have some questions for you to consider today. What challenges are you facing in your life right now? How long have you been suffering? What does it already cost you to be saddled with these challenges? What will it cost you to continue to have these challenges impacting or limiting your life? And an even more powerful question to consider: what would it take for you to be willing to release your challenges and suffering and embrace sustainable, successful life skills so you can live the life you want? It's a powerful question to ask yourself and sit with. Seriously, sit with it and see what arises. If you believed that changing yourself from the inside out so that you become the person who can live a sustainable, successful life was the solution to your suffering, what would you do? And if you believed this was the solution, but would take you a long time and be very difficult, if not impossible, for you to achieve, given your history, what would you do? And if you learned that it is the rare individual who fully believes that this is the solution and that they can successfully navigate the program and make the changes necessary, what would you do? What if you don't have to believe this will work for you, but rather come to believe that it will by the evidence that you experience, and rather you trust that it has worked for hundreds of others who have gone before you and will work for you as well? We recently rebranded Adventures in Achievement Foundational Skills to GSD Fundamentals and Essentials because it expresses what happens for our students who engage with the program as it's designed to be engaged with. And if you do, you will be experiencing changes during your 7-month journey that you hoped for, as well as many that you had no idea you would be receiving or experiencing. The results in our first month together are exciting. And now, with the creation of GSD Fundamentals, you can add up to 4 months of time together to develop and refine your executive function pre-skills, as well as release more of your limiting beliefs and upgrade more of your identity or sense of self before the second phase of the program. Or you can simply enroll in GSD Fundamentals as a standalone experience if you aren't sure about taking the entire GSD Fundamentals and Essentials journey. And if that feels like too much of a commitment for you at this time, you can always get started in the Transformation Club for 2 to 3 hours a month of your time and slowly immerse yourself in the development of executive function skills. Whatever your needs, we've got you covered. From my perspective, the most important question to ask yourself is, what have your deficits cost you up to now, and what will the further costs be if you don't do something about them now? Since you aren't here with me to have this conversation right now, I can tell you what my deficits cost me until I did something about them. Relationships, jobs, marriages, financial losses, lost opportunities. I wasn't able to live ready for my life to unfold for me because I wasn't competent enough to handle so many of the opportunities over my lifetime. Now, at 72 years young, I am competent, confident, and living ready for whatever opportunities present themselves and are aligned with my values and goals for my life. It's a good feeling and one that many of my new students look forward to having, and I trust that they will. If you live in the UK and need what my GSD program offers you, but finances are an issue, there's a grant assistance program through Access to Work that just might provide the funding for the GSD program for you. It has for a number of my students. If you live in Australia or Ireland or other places, there may also be funding to help you access the GSD program. To learn more about what might be available to you if you live in those areas, check the page on my website. Link is in the show notes. And while you're waiting for your grant assistance to come through, if this applies to you, consider coming into the Transformation Club to start your executive function skill transformation with other like-minded adults from around the world for less than $1 a day. The program is a lifesaver. Life is precious, and time even more so. We all get a certain amount of time here, and when that time is up, it's up. What if you knew what I know, which is that the GSD program can put an end to your suffering and give you the life you've been struggling to have, and it can do so in just 7 months? What would you do? I know what I would do, but that's not me. But that's me. I can't speak for you. If you believed with absolute certainty that you could develop the executive function skills that you're missing so you could achieve your goals, would you take action on creating that life for yourself? Moving from point A to point B isn't so difficult when you have a structured path to follow and the support to help you overcome the obstacles or resistance you might encounter. You will find that support and structured path in the GSD program. Things can be figured out when you don't run and you ask for help. Whatever your music is that's still locked inside of you, isn't it time for you to release your music within? I'd love to help you do just that. If you want an intentional life, you need to be intentional about what you bring into your life. Be 100% responsible for the life you create for yourself. Even if you have challenges in your life, there are solutions, and you can increase the quality of your life tremendously, especially if you develop your executive function skills. If you resonate with what I shared and my approach and would like to benefit from more than just my podcast show, you now know the options that I've created for you. The decision is yours to make. And even if you decide to do nothing, you are deciding to stay the same or worse. The years will pass no matter what you decide. It's really the choice of what you will put into the years rather than just have them be passing years filled with frustration and regrets. You heard me earlier talking about the currency of time as our most precious asset, since it's not something we can ever get back. No matter how you spend your time, it's gone. This is a huge price to pay for hesitation or indecision. If you need what I'm offering, I urge you to take action today and not do the typical, "That's nice, Dr. B, and I'll get around to it at some point, but not right now." You have no time to waste. None of us do. If you aren't moving forward, you're sliding backwards because time doesn't stand still. Book a complimentary discovery call. Review the GSD program roadmaps. Look at the TTC material if GSD isn't for you at this time. Do something to move forward. Take some positive action today. The doors to the opportunities in our lifetime don't stay open forever. I say this because I've waited in the past and doors have closed that I wish could open up again, and they can't. I live a life of service, and I want to be of service to you in some capacity. You came to this lifetime with empowering gifts, perhaps many of them, and I would love it if each and every person on this planet were able to express his or her unique, empowering gifts freely, without the threat of being shamed or criticized. Let's put an end to that stigma once and for all and live full out as empowered achievers. A favorite quote of mine, Tony Robbins said, "It is the small decisions you and I make every day that create our destiny." I love this quote because it's in line with my philosophy. Do life in small steps and do those small steps well. Small lets you focus on the details of the small step so you can do them well. Small keeps you under the radar of resistance and pushback. Small and consistent is the winning formula. If you found value in this episode, please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. Our mission is to help as many people as possible transform their lives. And when you leave a positive review, more people can find this podcast. Just click where it says review, select ratings and reviews, and write a review, and tell me what your favorite part of the podcast is. Thank you so much. If you're loving the podcast and you'd like to work with me, you'll find all the transformative opportunities listed in the show notes. Personal transformation is available to everyone who seeks it. We've made sure that there is an opportunity to fit a variety of needs. There are real solutions to the challenges that you're experiencing, so reach out to us. There is a lot of misinformation out and about. Be mindful and intentional with your decisions. Time is your most precious asset, and your life won't wait forever. I would love to help you realize a new freedom. That is, if that's of interest to you. One final thought. Never allow waiting to become a habit. Live your dreams and take risks. Life is happening now. Thanks for listening. Until the next time, bye for now.
Thanks so much for listening today. If you're eager to make positive changes in your life and stop overwhelm and confusion from derailing you, head over to drbarbaracohen.com and see how Dr. B can help you today. Whether you love learning in an online group environment with personalized coaching or prefer the pace of guided self-study, Dr. B offers the skills, strategies, and individual support you need. Get started on your journey today by visiting the website at drbarbaracohen.com.